It's been 9 months since I bought my dream bike, the 2020 Yamaha Tenere 700. So the question is the love affair still alive, or has the lust subsided? I spend a lot of time on a motorcycle, so I need something I like, something that's comfortable, capable, reliable, and low maintenance. I'm sure by now you know I'm a daily rider, 30 k's each way, 5 days a week in all weather. Then on the weekends I'm quite often off over Upstate Highway 1 or over the Remutakas on State Highway 2. I've covered around 15,000 kilometers at this point on the Tenere 700, ridden quite a number of serious and well-known adventure trails around the country, and the bike has not let me down once. The Tenere 700 is a solid performer, and with some minor modifications, I've got it to a point where I'm happy with it as a daily rider and happy to tackle most adventures New Zealand has to offer. The bike came on a set of OEM Pirelli STR Rally tyres, which I have to say I'm quite impressed with. They have lasted well over 10,000 k's of tarmac and gravel abuse. They're quite a good tyre on the black top for an adventure tyre, though I don't really like the loose feeling the front gives when riding on gravel. Swapping out for a set of Midas EO7 Plus tyres shortly before the Triumph Tiger Adventure ride, I found I had way more grip, but a little less confidence on the tarmac. Since getting a puncture in the rear Midas, I've gone back to the Pirelli on the back and kept the Midas EO7 on the front, which for the occasional gravel and more tarmac riding I do during the winter months, I'm really quite liking the feel of the bike. Here's a list of my modifications so far. Note, all the prices are approximate. Outback Motortech crash bars and skid plate, $1,200. Scott Oiler X-System 2.0, $400. Quad-lock phone mount, $60. Ventura Evo rack, $300. Krieger OS base and 2x 12-litre panniers, $550. Midas EO7 Plus tyres, $500. Total $2,910, plus the cost of the bike at circa 17k, and you're away adventure riding for less than $20,000 New Zealand. Don't let my wife see this video. For a bike with these minor modifications to be able to do everything I want it to do, I think is pretty amazing. We're talking about building the almost perfect all-rounder for under $20,000, bike included. But this is a 9-month review, so there must be something I'm not overly happy with, right? By now I should have done enough riding on the bike to have found at least a couple of things I'm not stoked about. Right, here comes the good, the bad and the ugly of owning a Tenere 700. Let's start with the good, and journos all over the world have waxed lyrical about how good the CP2 engine is, how snappy it is, how responsive it is. It's great at overtaking on the open roads, it has brilliant low-down torque, it's able to hold its own when compared with other bikes in the class. Simply put, it's a fun engine. The ergonomics of the Tenere 700 are brilliant. Now I'm 5'10" and a bit, thereabouts, and although when stationary the bike is slightly too tall for me, the main reason I installed crash bars, under motion it's outstanding. It's balanced, nimble, and makes me look like a better rider than I actually am. Short of minor suspension tweaks and a replacement set of tyres, I've not actually had to do much to the bike. The levers were all in pretty much the right place when I got it. I've rolled the bars back a little for commuting, and that's about it. Maintenance is easy, parts are everywhere, the aftermarket scene is massive. I added a Scott Oiler system because #commuter life. The crash bars and skid plate were just smart when you're taking $17,000 with a motorcycle to rough terrain. The quad lock is something I would put on any bike, and the same with the luggage. So in the way of modifications, it's not like I had to add things to the bike to make it livable. These were just things you would do to almost any adventure bike. Here's the bad, and once you hear this, you'll realise just how picky I have to be to find something bad about the Tenere 700. Firstly, I hate the fuel gauge. More specifically, I hate the low fuel light. This is possibly the single worst thing about the bike. Fill up the bike, 16-litre fuel tank, and math says you've got 350 k's at minimum in the tank. awesome. But the annoying thing is the low fuel light will start flashing at you at between the 200 and 250k mark, when you know you have at least 50 and possibly 150 k's left in the tank. The range anxiety this causes is real, and you find yourself freaking out for no reason whatsoever. And the other thing is, it's disappointing Yamaha chose to put the toggle switch for the odometer, trip meter and fuel consumption readout on the right-hand bar. It makes it ever so slightly more difficult to use, and the buttons on the instrumentation tower are just a little bit too far away to be easily accessible. Yes, this is a small thing, but if they had chosen to put the switch on the left, then I'd have absolutely nothing to complain about. It would be so much more accessible. And the ugly, the muffler hanger. You see, the muffler hanger is welded to the rear frame. It's not a bolt-on replaceable part, meaning when you drop your bike on the right-hand side, and you're probably going to if you ever take it off the blacktop, you're going to bend your muffler in, and it's possibly going to gouge into your swing arm. The hanger should have been a replaceable part, a sacrificial part. On my first outing, I managed to bend the muffler in towards the swing arm a little when I dropped the T7 on its right-hand side at the bottom of a steep, loose hill climb on the 42nd traverse. But there you go, there's 3 things wrong with the bike. It really speaks to how good the bike is, right? I was asked recently to describe the Tenere 700 and what it's like to ride, and that's a difficult one. How do you describe to a blind person the colour red? But if I had to come up with something, I'd say it's like taking the ergonomics of a great dirt bike and refining them, then coupling them with the engine of a torquey, snappy road bike. Think of the mutant love child between an MT-07 and a DR650. Boom, there you go, Tenere 700. But that's pretty much what it is, an MT-07 with longer legs, right? I'm not saying the Tenere 700 is the best bike in the world, but when you have a young family, you don't always have the opportunity to own more than one bike. So, as a compromise, the Tenere 700 does everything well. Don't get me wrong, I do occasionally look at hardcore road bikes and get a bit envious. I quite often look at bikes that have rider modes, cruise control, and all that other fun stuff and go, wouldn't that be nice to have? But is the love affair still alive? If I had my time over again, would I still buy the Yamaha Tenere 700? 100%. Yes, I would.